The Galactic Council had one universal rule that every species learned in their first cycle of spaceflight: never provoke a human. Commander Zekthor of the Vraxian Empire had dismissed such warnings as propaganda. His species had conquered 47 star systems. They were apex predators, standing 3 meters tall with exoskeletons that could deflect plasma fire. Humans, he'd been told, were soft, fragile. Their homeworld had tried to kill them at every turn, yet they'd survived through sheer stubbornness. Stubbornness, Zekthor had thought, was not enough against superior firepower. He'd been wrong. The human research vessel, Perseverance, drifted in the debris field of what had been Outpost Kepler 442. Its hull breached in 17 places. Zekthor's warship had struck without warning, as was Vraxian custom. The distress signal had gone silent within minutes. By all tactical assessments, there should be no survivors, yet 2 life signs remained. "Bring them to me," Zekthor commanded, his mandibles clicking with anticipation. Susan Chen's head throbbed as consciousness returned. The cold deck plating pressed against her cheek, and the acrid smell of burned wiring filled her nostrils. She opened her eyes to find herself in a detention cell, the energy barrier humming menacingly at the entrance. "Susan?" A voice croaked from the darkness. "Evan?" She pushed herself up, wincing as broken ribs protested. Her colleague, Dr. Evan Rodriguez, sat slumped against the far wall, blood crusting the side of his face. "You okay?" "Define okay." He managed a weak smile. "We're alive." "That's more than I expected after they opened fire." Susan's jaw tightened. The Perseverance had been a science vessel unarmed, on a mission to study stellar formation. 43 people had been aboard. 43 colleagues, friends, family. "The others?" she asked, though she already knew. Evan's silence was answer enough. The energy barrier flickered off, and a massive alien figure entered. Zekthor studied the 2 humans with 4 compound eyes. Noting their small stature, their fragile-looking frames, the female was barely half his height. "I am Commander Zekthor of the Vraxian Armada," he announced in translated galactic standard. "Your vessel violated Vraxian territorial space. The penalty is death." He leaned closer. "But I am curious. The Council speaks of humans as monsters. I see only broken creatures. Tell me, why does the galaxy fear you? Why?" "Cluding time." Susan met his gaze without flinching. Something cold and sharp crystallized in her chest. "Susan." She ignored him, pushing herself to her feet despite the pain. "We're not the strongest. We're not the fastest. Our planet spent 4 billion years trying to kill us with ice ages, supervolcanoes, asteroid impacts, and predators that made us prey." Zekthor's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "But we're persistent," Susan continued, her voice dropping to something quiet and dangerous. "We don't give up. We don't surrender. And we never forget." "Brave words from a prisoner," Zekthor said. "Not a prisoner." The Vraxian commander didn't understand until it was too late. Human distress signals operated on quantum-encrypted channels, embedded with transponder data that couldn't be blocked or jammed. The moment the Perseverance was hit, its black box had sent everything attack, vectors, ship signatures, tactical data across a relay network that spanned human space. 12 hours later, the response arrived. The UESC Retribution dropped out of quantum space with 3 battlecruisers in formation. They didn't hail. They didn't negotiate. The human navy had one doctrine when it came to attacks on civilian vessels: overwhelming retaliation. Zekthor's warship didn't stand a chance. Susan and Evan felt the shudder of weapons fire through the deck plating. Alarms shrieked. The detention cell's barrier failed as power fluctuated. "Time to go," Evan said, pulling Susan toward the exit. They moved through chaos. Vraxian crew members scrambling, bulkheads collapsing. The ship tearing itself apart under sustained fire. Susan's training as an emergency response specialist kicked in. She navigated by emergency lighting, found an escape pod bay, and manually overrode the launch sequence with her engineering credentials. As their pod ejected into space, they watched the Vraxian warship break apart. The human battlecruisers moved with surgical precision. Their weapons systems operated by crews who'd trained for exactly this scenario. Humans didn't just fight wars, they studied them, perfected them, turned them into science. The Retribution intercepted their pod within minutes. As they were brought aboard, the ship's captain, a stern woman named Admiral Torres, met them in the hangar bay. "Dr. Chen, Dr. Rodriguez," she saluted. "Welcome aboard. We've recovered the Perseverance's black box. 43 confirmed casualties. Zek Thor?" Susan asked. "Escaped in a command pod. We're tracking him." Torres's expression hardened. "The Vraxian Empire will answer for this. The Council has already been notified." "And? Dr. Chen," she paused. "We found Commander Zek Thor's personal logs. He recorded your conversation." Susan felt Evan's hand on her shoulder. "What you said about humans, never forgetting," Torres continued. "That message is already spreading across the network. The Vraxians wanted to know why the galaxy fears us." She smiled grimly. "Now they'll learn firsthand." 3 cycles later, the Vraxian Empire sued for peace. They'd lost 17 warships to human retaliatory strikes. Their economy collapsed under trade sanctions. The Galactic Council, witnessing humanity's calculated and relentless response, reinforced their standing directive: never provoke a human. Susan stood at the memorial on Kepler Station, 43 names etched in titanium. Evan stood beside her, both survivors carrying scars that would never fully heal. "The legends didn't lie," Evan said quietly. Susan touched one name, Emily Chen, her younger sister. "No," she agreed. "They didn't. Humans weren't monsters because they were cruel. They were monsters because they were patient, methodical, and absolutely unforgiving when their own were harmed. They were monsters because they turned grief into determination, tragedy into resolve. They were monsters because when pushed, they pushed back harder, and the galaxy would never forget it."